Hey Waffle Gang, I do hope you're well. My name is Mark and today we're checking out some more Reddit stories. And if you do love a Reddit story, why not consider hitting that like, subscribe, maybe that notification bell too. And let's crack on with today's first story. Much love guys. Now today's first story comes from Neith and says, am I the arsehole here? For telling my mother I will not invite my cousin to my birthday because of her habit. My 23 female mother, 51 female, is berating me for not wanting to invite my cousin, 24 female, to my birthday party. The thing is, my cousin and her boyfriend have this habit, kink really, and they do not stop sneaking off to have sex. Sometimes semi-publicly, sometimes in public. I was invited to a birthday 6 months ago. It was at a restaurant, and when they brought the cake, they were nowhere to be found. My uncle, mum's brother, and her father sent me to look for her, and I found them having sex in his car, in the middle of the parking lot, and she saw me and smiled and waved, laughing with her boyfriend. This was not the first time something like this happened, as I later found out that my uncle sent me because he didn't want to catch his daughter in the act again. And her friends already knew of this habit, so they refused to engage in their fantasies of being caught. I took my things and left, and my mother scolded me because she said her cousin was upset and embarrassed that I just left with a disgusted face, and that her friends backed me up. Some left too. I told my mum what happened, and she told me I should have endured to not cause a scene. But I told her that I'm a grown woman, and I could have left even without a reason. Now, my birthday is in a week, and I made plans for a weekend out in my grandmother's beach house, and she has given me permission to use it and bring my friends. I sent out the invitations, and when my cousin found out, because my uncle told her, having heard it from my mum, she was confused as to why she didn't receive one. I told her I love her, but I didn't want her there because my friends are bringing her boyfriends too, as am I, and I don't want them to have to endure her and her boyfriend's kink because it will make us uncomfortable. I told her it's one thing to have sex, and it's another to engage other people in their sex life without their consent. She was furious, saying that I was excluding her and that she wouldn't do it on my birthday. But I laughed and told her she did it on her own birthday, so I didn't believe it, and I would rather not risk her ruining my party. So she went complaining to my mum about it, and she tried to force me. And since I live on my own and pay my own bills, she couldn't. So she went to my grandmother to try and convince her to not let me use the house, but I'd already told my nonna everything, and she dismissed her. So now my mum, my aunt, and my cousin are all bothering me about it. I think I have a right to invite whoever I want, but maybe I was too harsh. Me and my cousin were really close friends, but these past months I've been pulling away from her, and I feel a little bad. So, am I the arsehole here? English is not my first language, so I may have explained some things a little weirdly. Messy Postin says not the arsehole and quotes, my mother scolded me because she said my cousin was upset and embarrassed that I just left with a disgusting face. Then says, what the hell did she expect you to do? Grin and give them a thumbs up? Start masturbating at the sight? Try to join in? Leaving with a disgusted face is the normal reaction to walking in on a family member having sex. Avoiding that family member is the normal reaction to finding out that family member has been attempting to expose you and others to their sexual activities unwillingly. Your cousin is gross, immoral, and out of line. Having a kink is fine. Engaging in the kink with aware and willing third parties is fine. Forcing the kink on non-consenting third parties is unacceptable. Forcing the kink on your own family members is just disgusting. What? What exactly does she get off on being seen in the act by her own relatives? Cersei needs to grow up and learn to kink responsibly. And your mum just needs to grow up, period. Definitely keep this weird girl and her boyfriend away from your party. Opie says not Cersei. I have to say, not to defend her, that involving relatives was a miscalculation when it was her father and me. Well, she admitted that she thought it wasn't such a big deal since we were really close up to that point, but yeah, it's pretty gross, so I don't want to expose my friends to it. Forget Regret One Day says, ooh, I'm all for a healthy sex life, but the minute you need to shock other people with it, I draw the line. It's beyond inappropriate to have sex in the middle of a party in such a way that you want other people to catch you. That kind of kink infringes on other people's rights, and I think you had every reason to leave her off your guest list and tell her why. Maybe suggest your mum host your cousin and boyfriend that weekend so she can play this weird game. I'm just astonished that everyone is trying to pressure you to invite these people knowing their history, not the arsehole. Opie says she's telling me that she has promised to not do it, or just not bring her boyfriend. But I know my cousin. She is very bold and impulsive, and her relationship is relatively new. So she might try to flirt or hook up with one of my friend's boyfriends because she has cheated before. On her long-term boyfriend, which I know is unfair, and she might not do it, but I do not want any drama on my birthday, and it makes me feel a little selfish. Awesome Kid's mum says, not the arsehole, look, even your uncle knows this is their normal behavior, and I applaud you for setting a boundary with your family. It's a difficult thing to do. Don't cave, but tell your mum to make it up to your cousin you're going to arrange for her and the boyfriend to come stay with her. Then she can have the pleasure of her having sex around the house in hopes of getting caught. And one more comment from a person 1852 says, if someone's kink involves non-consensual actions of other people, then the kink is sexual assault. Doing it in public and getting off on people catching you in the act is no different than a guy in a coat flashing someone walking by. If they get off on it, then there are actual groups where you can set up a bunch of scenarios to fill your kink. If cousin really needs it, so the other person are clueless, then her kink is messed up and disgusting. Even more so that she likes doing it to family members. The OP does come back into the post to give an update and says, okay, so first of all I want to thank everyone who wished me a happy early birthday. I really appreciated it. And there's some things I want to clarify. For some reason, some of the people who commented seem to believe my mother is invited to the party. She's not. We will have our own mother-daughter day after. Some people also had a problem with my nonna having a beach house. Like, weird thing to focus on, but okay. Some people were really rude about the way I handled everything, or to my mother, which I didn't really appreciate. I've been told that that's Reddit for you, so I guess I should have known when posting here. It's a little bit of a disappointing update, but well, I showed my mother my post and she was appalled. I had to translate everything for her. She wasn't all too happy that I decided to share a family matter with internet strangers, but when I told her that my cousin was sharing something much more private to the public, she dropped the issue. She apologized for trying to pressure me into inviting her. Like I said in the comments, she only knows that I called her the one time, but there was some miscommunication because she thought I just called her in the bathroom of the restaurant, not the parking lot, which is still bad, but like, at least there's doors. I told her over the phone and she's a little hard of hearing, so I believe her. She called my uncle, her brother, cousin's father, and tore him a new one after she learned that he sent me to find cousin knowing what I would find, and for not saying anything when she and his wife were bothering me, knowing the reason why his daughter is not invited. My cousin has blocked me on everything, and I don't really care, but it's weird because the fuck did I do? Oh, and it turns out that my aunt did know what her daughter was up to. She just thinks that it's her private issues, which is kind of ironic because, well, me and my mother have decided to leave it for now as it is, and we've gone low contact with them. She is really weirded out. That's all for now. Thank you for all the kind and helpful comments. Can't help but think that cousin's going to end up in a lot of trouble one day with what she does. And for OP in this, I think, her going no contact and blocking you isn't a bad thing in this situation. She pretty much solved your issue for you, and, family member doing that to you is all sorts of crazy. But now I'm going to turn this one to you guys. What would you do if you found yourself in that situation? Let us know your thoughts down in the comments below. And let's move on to another story. And our next story does come with an update as well from a throwaway account that says, am I the arsehole for abandoning my mother-in-law in a parking lot full of watching people? I, female 26, am a stay-at-home mum, and I pick up my daughter after school. My husband, male 35, takes her to school in the mornings on the way to his work. Mother-in-law got divorced a couple of months ago and not so subtly complained to my husband that she was lonely, so my husband insisted that we have her over every weekend. Mother-in-law and I don't get along. For example, mother-in-law has always made snide remarks about me being a teenage mum, but I learned to ignore it since my husband asked me to keep the peace. When she began coming over, she would make comments about how dusty the floor was, how much laundry was in the basket, etc., hinting that I should be doing more housework as a stay-at-home mum. final straw was when she commented about her daughter's academic abilities, saying stuff about how she's below standard academic level and blaming me for not putting in the effort to teach her. After a big argument, my husband finally agreed that only he would visit mother-in-law at her home. Mother-in-law and I haven't spoken to each other since. Mother-in-law's catalytic converter got stolen yesterday and hasn't gotten fixed yet. My husband drove her to work this morning and asked me to pick her up. I said no. Mother-in-law works fairly close to our daughter's school, about a 15-minute walk. In the middle of the day, my husband sends me a text saying that he convinced mother-in-law to walk to our daughter's school so I can pick up both of them. I arrive at my daughter's school and see mother-in-law with daughter. I walk up to them and tell mother-in-law she can find a way home, and I'm not going to give her a lift. She started to create a scene and other parents and children were starting to stare, so I took my daughter by the hand and drove away. Husband yelled at me when he got home, saying that I embarrassed mother-in-law in front of the other parents and left her stranded when I could have easily driven her home. It really wouldn't have been much work to drive her home one time, and I'm regretting causing a scene at my daughter's school because her classmates and their parents might have seen it. Am I the arsehole? And we're starting the comments with Annoyu, who says, everyone sucks here. You should have had an adult conversation with your mother-in-law about your boundaries and how you won't tolerate her demeaning you with her comments. The state of your home and your child's education is not her business, and she can leave those subjects alone. But instead you make your point by leaving her at your kid's school without any way of getting home. I get it, she's a pain in the ass, but acting like a child doesn't help the situation. Your husband knows how you feel. He knows how his mother feels and still put you in a position of having to drive her home. You all suck. Responsible judge replies to that saying, I don't get your judgment, and quotes that last comment saying you should have had an adult conversation with your mother-in-law and says, true, maybe she tried to have it with her, but we don't know because her husband enabled mother-in-law's behavior and asked his wife to keep the peace, meaning don't say anything so there won't be a fight. Quotes the comment again and says the state of your home and child's education is not her business, and says true, but the past showed OP that her husband asked her to keep the peace with mother-in-law, like enabling her behavior towards his wife. Quotes again saying, you make your point by leaving her at your kid's school, and it says OP never agreed or communicated with mother-in-law about that, just her husband, and she said no. No discussion or stuff. No was the answer. Quote saying, without any way of getting home, and says I call this BS. You know, bus, taxi / cab, Uber and stuff. Mother-in-law is an adult, not a little abandoned child. And quotes again saying, but acting like a child doesn't help the situation. And it says, which situation? What childish act? I think OP made her boundaries clear to her husband. He was playing a foul game, not OP. Just saying. Next commenter says, not the arsehole, I was going to go everyone sucks here. But then I realized your husband was an adult who knocked up a teen and that let his mother treat his wife horribly for years. You said no. He heard no. He manipulated you anyway. Your mother-in-law has spent years trying to humiliate you. I'm not going to call you an arsehole when you finally were able to draw boundaries. She knows full well what she was doing all those years. Your husband knows too. He just doesn't care. This has always been a husband problem. He doesn't stand up for you and he doesn't care that you said no. He still thinks that you're a teen and he's an adult and therefore he can manipulate you. He would rather keep mummy happy than respect you. There's a reason older guys are with younger women, and you feel the repercussions years later. You have matured and are better able to stand up for yourself, and he just doesn't respect that. Solid Bookkeeper says, everyone sucks here, but your husband more so than anyone else. Your husband shouldn't have put you in that position. Edit to add, he tried to trap. Major strike against him. Your mother-in-law needs to butt out of your marriage. Another strike your husband because he should have shut that down immediately. It really wouldn't have been the end of the world if you drove her home. And yet another strike against your husband because, again, he shouldn't have put you in the position, let alone be mad at you. Disappointed, annoyed or frustrated, yes, but not mad. He should have just shook his head at you and then promptly turned to his mother and told her words and actions have consequences. Edit to add, he's also allowed his mother to bully you for being a teenage mum when he was the one who got you pregnant. Another user says, everyone sucks here. Your husband put you in a rough situation and it sounds like he keeps putting you second to his mother, especially knowing that you and your mother-in-law don't get along and that she's actively insulting his wife. That said, it was probably rough for your kid to be in that situation at school in front of her peers, as it wasn't her fault either. It might have been the smartest to just take them both home and then have that conversation there so your kid could be kept out of it. But it's probably hard to think of what to do in that moment. You shouldn't have been put in that situation in the first place, so I'm sorry you had to deal with that. And I wasn't on the everyone sucks here side on this one. I was more definitely not the arsehole. I feel like, she's the one who's been treating you badly all the way through this and then expecting favors from you. I know for a fact I wouldn't give someone that I dislike favors, even to keep the peace, as they say. But OP did come into the post with an update and says, "Hi Reddit, sorry this update took so long, but I just signed the last of the divorce papers and wanted to share with this sub. I took the top comments advice and tried to have a conversation with my ex-husband and his mother, but they both just yelled at me, would not listen to anything I said. My ex-husband even went back on his agreement to not invite her over. Apparently this was my punishment for disobeying him and embarrassing his mother." I should also mention that this post came like a year later. "For a few months I stayed with my best friend on the weekends, and she convinced me to divorce him. But because I was a stay-at-home mum, I needed a steady source of income. Early 2023, we started a candle making business on Etsy. It was really rough the first few months, but we began to gain traction and I finally told my ex that I wanted a divorce after I finally felt stable. He said no, but I'd already worked everything out with my lawyer. After I sent him the papers, he and his mother began harassing me. He said that he would agree to divorce only if I gave up full custody of my daughter. Long story short, that ended up in us going to court, and now I have full custody. My best friend is the real hero of this entire story. She let me stay over for free throughout the proceedings and helped me care for my daughter. With the alimony and the money I made from the candle making business, I officially moved in with my best friend and began paying her rent too. I'm currently saving up to buy a place of my own. My daughter and I are really happy right now. I can't believe that I didn't see how toxic my ex and his mother were for the 7 years we were married. I hope this is enough drama for the rest of my life, and thanks to all the people in my DMs who showed me how toxic my relationship was." Dude just saying no to a divorce, I mean, what the fuck? I'm glad that best friend did help OP out of this situation. It sounds like it was awful to live with. But what do you guys make of this one? Let us know your thoughts down in the comments below. And let's have another story. And someone sent me this one from over on Twitter from the Entitled People subreddit from Forster's fan who says, "Entitled friend doesn't understand the concept of a white elephant exchange. This all happened almost 10 years ago, but after spending all morning reading stories on this sub, I felt like sharing my own experience. For years I, male, early 30s at the time, was close friends with Brittany, female same age as me. Brittany and I had gone to college together, gone on trips together, and were pretty much inseparable. She had always a bit of an entitled streak to her, but it was never anything drastic. She usually kept it restrained to things like being the only one to pick which restaurant our group of friends went to, or having her seat in each friend's home. Annoying, yes, but pretty mild overall. Then Christmas hit. A mutual friend of ours decided to hold a Christmas get-together for our large extended friend group, which included both me and Brittany. This friend, Mary, had recently gotten married and bought a new house with her husband, Matt. Mary's wedding had been a small, private, family-only affair. To celebrate with friends as well as celebrate their new house and the holiday, Mary invited about 30 people from our extended friend group to a big Christmas party. It was wonderful. Mary has always been one hell of a cook and she insisted on providing everything for the guests. She did all of the cooking, bought tons of drinks, alcoholic and non-alcoholic, and made sure none of her guests were without a drink or a plate of amazing food all night. Mary had only one request for her guests. Each person bring a gift to contribute to a white elephant gift exchange. Happily, especially given how much Mary and Matt shelled out to feed us all, we all brought a gift. For those not familiar, white elephant exchanges, called Yankee Swap or Dirty Santa in some places, involve everyone bringing a wrapped gift. Then one by one, each person chooses a gift from the pile. First person opens his or her chosen gift, and the second person can either open a new gift or steal the first person's gift. Third can steal second or first gift or pick a new one. On and on until everyone has had a chance. Then the first person gets the last chance to steal. One rule put in place in a lot of these exchanges is that a gift can only be stolen twice. So if you are the third person to get your hands on a gift, it is yours for good and no one can take it from you. This was the downfall of Mary's gift exchange, at least when it came to Brittany. The gift exchange started and people were having fun stealing blankets, candles, gift cards and the like from other friends. No one was upset if their gift was stolen. Hell, it's all for fun and we're all friends, right? Well, Matt, Mary's new husband and party co-host, was really good at making his own beer. As a gift in the exchange, he wrapped up a full case of this amazing dark stout he made. Bob opened that and was excited. We all knew how amazing the beer was as we'd been drinking it all night at the party. Then Tim stole the beer from Bob. We laughed. Bob was disappointed, but he gave it over to Tim in the spirit of the game. Then it was my turn. I stole the beer from Tim. Like Bob, Tim was disappointed but willingly gave me the beer and laughed along with his disappointment. Noticed that I was the third owner of the case of beer. That means that, per the rules of Mary's game, I was safe from having the beer stolen from me. Brittany was the next to go. She tried to steal the beer but was reminded by several people that the beer had been stolen twice, so was now officially mine. Instead of just picking a new gift or stealing someone else's, Brittany threw a fit. All the other gifts suck, that's not fair, the beer's the only thing I want. I wouldn't have played if I knew this stupid rule. On and on she went. She was making everyone uncomfortable, especially Mary. Matt intervened and politely asked Brittany to just play along. He reminded her that there were still a few bottles of stout in the kitchen if she wanted one. But no, Brittany couldn't handle not having the full case to take home with her. She pouted and refused to pick another gift or play the game. So we skipped her. The game continued on and everyone other than Brittany had a gift. With only one gift left, Brittany was forced to take that or nothing. She chose nothing and on top continued to bitch and moan about how unfair the rules were. The person who brought the unclaimed gift took it back and gave it to Mary and Matt as a housewarming gift. Seeing that, Brittany stormed out and left. I thought that was the end of it, but I was wrong. Over the next few days, I was barraged with text messages from Brittany demanding that I give her the case of Matt's beer. She didn't ask if I would share it, which I probably would have done. She demanded that I give it to her outright, saying, "You know the rules were bullshit, and it should have been mine anyway." When I told her no, she started with guilt trips. "You make more money than me, so you can buy expensive beer and I can't. We've been friends for so long, it's only right. You're just being selfish." The final message from her was, "I hope you choke on it, asshole." Gee whiz. I blocked her number and removed her from my Facebook friends list, and haven't spoken to her since. Nor, for that matter, have Mary and Matt, nor about a third of the party guests. She's lost a lot of friends, all over a case of beer. It was damn good beer though. I thought of Brittany every time I drank a bottle. My word, the majority of your friendships and the party over a case of beer. That is just insane entitlement. What do you guys make of this situation? How would you have dealt with that if it was you in that position? Let us know your thoughts down in the comments below. Now, just a huge thank you from the bottom of my heart for getting involved in today's stories. Your love, your support, your time always means the absolute world to me. So thank you once again. And hopefully I'll see you in the next one. Take care and much love.